Hello, my name is Chris, and today I'd like to talk about this weird bout of anxiety that I experienced. I think it was just last week, and I'd like to talk about what it felt like for me, what the whole experience was like, what I think brought it on and what I know it brought up for me, what I learned, and why it was important for me to move with it and through it rather than trying to bulldoze my feelings and numb them and go, I can't deal with this, and fix it straight away. There are some videos that I make that are my best attempt to support you on your journey, and there are some videos I make which are just about me and my journey. And today is very much one of the latter. In a few weeks, I'd like to make a couple of videos similar to the ones I made a while ago about depression and quitting smoking, but this time about anxiety and quitting smoking, examining the cause and effect relationship and offering the best support I can for those who would like to quit smoking whilst dealing with anxiety. But this is not one of those videos today. This is very much just, my personal experience of what I've been through lately and what came out the other side of it for me. I've got to be very honest with you. I'm very tired now. I have been trying to make this video all day long. This is my fourth attempt at trying to record this video. So many things have gone wrong today. So fingers crossed, and those fingers, let's see if we can get through this entire video without anything going wrong. If you have been with me on my journey for any length of time, you will have undoubtedly heard me talking about my mental health. But you may recall that I've never really talked about dealing with anxiety before, mainly because I've never really had to. Most of the time, if I have a mental health episode, it's related more to depression or similar things. I have one type of mental health episode that just feels like all of the colour and all of the joy and all of the very essence of life has been drained out of the universe. My world feels very black and grey and miserable. My world feels as though it's just raining all the time. Though to be fair, I live in England, so it kind of does rain all the time. So that may not be anything to do with depression. But the other kind of mental health episode that I have was where it feels like a bomb has gone off in my brain. Just poof. And when this happens, it becomes almost impossible to just be with myself. Like, I just cannot physically handle being Chris Scoyles. I can't sit in this body. I can't deal with these thoughts. I simultaneously don't want to exist anymore, but don't want to die. And it feels very like a very trapped feeling. I feel very insane. To the point where at one point I was desperate for someone to just lock me up for my own sense of safety. And the good news is that I haven't had one of those episodes for at least 2 years now. My mental health has been very good because I've worked on it. I saw this amazing counsellor who we did some amazing work together. I have all of these tools and techniques and strategies that I'm now able to use to help me with my mental health, and I use them because my mental health is my top priority. I'm aware that if this goes, then everything goes. And I have too much good stuff in my life today to just let it go. So I really look after this before anything else. Which means that when this bout of anxiety came on, it came as a complete surprise. It seemed to come upon me from nowhere, or come from within me from nowhere. And at first I didn't really know what the heck it was. All I knew in the moment was that I felt awful. I woke up on the Monday morning and I felt fine. I felt pretty good, not kind of dancing away, yeah, it's Monday, because, I think I may have been locked up a lot sooner if I'd done that. But, optimistic about the day ahead. I went through my morning routine, and then I sat down to start thinking about the day ahead, the week ahead. What are my responsibilities? What are my priorities? What do I need to do to get closer to where I want to be in my life? What are the not so fun things that I've just got to get out of the way? I've got to go here, and I've got to see this person, and I've got to tackle this job, and I've got to sort that out, and I've got to do this, and I've got it, and I've got it, and I've got it, and oh my goodness. Before I knew it, I was working myself up into a state. I wasn't even consciously aware that I was doing it. I was telling myself this story about how much stuff I had to get done. I have to do all of these things, and telling myself how stressful it was going to be and how overwhelming it was going to be. And if I'd have been in a good frame of mind, I wouldn't have been like that, because I recognise these are not things I have to do, these are things I get to do. Just like I say in the quit smoking videos. I get to go to my job and make money because it puts a roof over my head and food in my cupboards and clothes on my back. I get to go and work with my hypnotherapy clients, my counselling clients, and do really rewarding work. I get to do all of these things. But I wasn't in that mindset. I was in the mindset of, I have to do all of this stuff and it's so overwhelming. And I wasn't aware of it, but I was working myself up into such a state that at some point, because I wasn't slowing down, my body went, I'm going to slow you down because I'm going to push you way over the edge to the point where you have to stop. And I really did have to stop, because my body had this major reaction to the thoughts in my brain. And I suddenly became very aware of the fact that I felt terrible. I felt dizzy. I felt woozy. My legs felt weak. The way I described it to people was, my legs feel like jelly. I feel like I can't even get off the couch and go and do anything because my legs are so weak they're just going to give out from under me. And yet, as weak as my legs felt, my upper body felt like someone was squeezing me and constricting me and making me tremble of all of the millions of billions of words in the English language, the one word that best describes the way that I felt was yeah. Ooh, it was just an awful, intense feeling. I felt restless and at the same time completely lethargic. I was aware that, maybe the tension and my jelly legs and everything was due to adrenaline. I'd worked myself up into such a state that my body was thinking, oh my goodness, something must be really wrong here. Let's get some adrenaline going to deal with it. And my first thought was, well, I can get up and do something and process this energy in a healthy way. But at the same time, I felt so utterly lethargic that I couldn't move. And I was torn between, gotta do something, can't do something, just trapped. That's a better word than there. I felt trapped in this weird state. And I had no idea when this came on what it was. I was just kind of like, oh, this is awful. I need to do something. And the first thing that I did was just to sit with it and not try to immediately fix it. Because although my life and my thought process and my mental health has got significantly better over the years, I'm aware that somewhere in the back of my brain there is this default setting that goes, you're having a bad time, it's time to self-destruct so that you don't feel bad anymore. It's time to get drunk, it's time to smoke all the cigarettes, it's time to go on this headfirst nosedive into self-sabotaging oblivion. So whenever I feel bad these days, whether it's anxiety, whether it's just a kind of meh feeling, I sit with it. And I do still have those meh feelings from time to time. One of the benefits for me of going through quite extreme, for me, mental health stuff is that these days I'm much better at being able to recognise what's a bad day and what's a mental health episode, what's a bit of a funk and what's depression. And because of that, when this feeling came upon me, I kind of knew, well, this is more than a bad day. Something feels very wrong with me. I need to, just sit and let it be. And I can make a decision about what to do about it when I have some better level of mental clarity. Because if I go, I feel bad, I need to fix it straight away, and I dive into a bunch of stuff and nothing works, then it's headlong into that self-sabotaging oblivion. Whereas if I sit and allow myself to feel it until I can think clearly, because that was another symptom of all this, I could not focus on a single thing, then I'll have a bit of better clarity. I was sitting there and my first thought was to just try and get on with things. Just power through it. But I couldn't, and that was making me even worse. Because I told myself this story of, oh my goodness, Chris, you've got all this stuff that you have to do. And then I was sitting there going, but I can't do any of it because I feel awful. That was starting to, not even necessarily consciously, it was making me feel even worse because I'm not doing what I need to do. So just sit and get the mental clarity, which didn't come for a while, to be honest. But there were two other reasons why I decided to just sit with it. And the first was that I've learned, like I say, whenever I feel bad, is to learn to be curious about what's going on with me. Not over-examining it to the point that I drive myself even crazier. Just being nicely curious about, okay, this feels awful. I wonder what this is. I wonder why I'm shaking. I wonder why my legs are like jelly. And it was when I was able to do that that the more curious I got and the more time I just spent sort of exploring how I felt, I was able to go from, I don't know what the heck this is, to feels like what I understand anxiety to be like. This is anxiety. And it wasn't a case of putting a label on it or putting myself in a box with some kind of diagnosis. It was simply that when I was able to understand what was going on for me, I was in a much better place to be able to deal with it. Okay, this is anxiety. I kind of know what to do about anxiety in some ways. Much better than going, what is this? Don't like it, get rid of it. Go, what is this? Oh, I know what this is. And the third reason was kind of a bit sadistic and kind of a bit perverse, and I probably wouldn't have done it if I hadn't been in the position that I'm in now, doing the things that I do. I already knew that I wanted to make those anxiety and quitting smoking videos. And, even beyond that, in my hypnotherapy practice, I deal with anxiety quite a lot. Not my own, other people's. People come and anxiety is either their biggest presenting issue or it's a side effect of something else. So I had this sense of, well, yeah, okay, I know that this is anxiety and I know that I feel terrible, But this is an opportunity for me to really learn what anxiety feels like for me, and to experience a little bit of what other people experience. To give myself a better understanding for my videos and for my therapy clients. And again, you know, if I wasn't doing this stuff, that wouldn't have been a reason. But it was kind of good for me to get even more curious about it, and to learn a bit more. You know, like I've said about my depression in the past, as awful, absolutely awful as it was, I'm grateful for that experience, because now I feel like I'm better equipped to hold space for other people who are dealing with their depression, and to be able to talk about it openly in the hope that someone might identify with something and it bring them a little bit of comfort. So I wanted to sit with it for that reason. But of course, I was feeling so bad. I was weak, I was dizzy, I was tense, I couldn't focus, I was meh. At some point I had to do something. So I started baby steps towards getting better. The first thing that I did was just to give myself time to recover. I cancelled as much stuff as I possibly could for the next 48 hours. Yes, I just started by going, oh my goodness, all this stuff that I've got to do. But I recognise, you know, none of it's going to get done if I'm feeling like this anyway. Or I could turn up to things and try and do things, but I wouldn't be able to give 100% or even close to 50% of myself, of my best, because I was in such a state. So I cancelled everything. And I recognise, you know, look, if I cancel all of these things for the next 48 hours, it's okay. Nobody's going to die. The world isn't going to end. Nothing bad is going to happen. It's perfectly okay for me to take some time to recover at my own pace. Give myself 48 hours to see this through. So everything got cancelled, as much as I could possibly cancel. I just thought, yeah, do you know what, I'll just do this. I recognise now that it's anxiety, or I recognise that I can do something about it. Let's give myself this time, rather than just trying to smash my way through it or pretend that it's not happening, because I'm going to be of no use to anyone in the state that I'm in right now. Just take some time to just recover. And related to that, I also had to acknowledge that it was okay to feel the way I was feeling, and it was okay for me to take as long as I needed. You know, like I said, I've worked with people with anxiety and see how it completely destroys their life and their ability to live life, you know, the life they want. And it would have been easy for me to go, well, I'm not that bad, so therefore this isn't an important thing, therefore this is nothing, therefore shake it off, Chris, get over yourself, get back on it. And I had to acknowledge, no. Yes, you know, some people may have it worse, and that's awful for them, but this is awful for me. This is beyond the capacity that I currently have to cope with. My feelings, my mental health, my coping strategies are all okay. I'm not harming anyone. I'm hopefully not doing myself any more harm. It is okay to feel this way, and it's okay to do what I need to do. And it's okay to just say, I feel like crap today. And that was the next thing that I did. I kind of spent all morning, you know, as best as I could, just sitting with these feelings, exploring, being curious, starting to give myself this time. Then around lunchtime, a dear friend of mine called up, you know, and it's someone that I care about deeply and who cares about me, I think. And, you know, someone who I can be honest with and who I can trust, so that when they phone me up and they say, hey Chris, how you doing? I don't sit there on the other end of the phone feeling miserable, but going, yeah, I am good. Everything is good. No, I can go, do you know what, mate? Today I feel like shit. And to be able to talk about that openly and honestly helped. It didn't necessarily make my jelly legs go away. It didn't make my tension go away. I still felt very dizzy whilst I was on the phone, but being able to talk and just say, describe how I was feeling was really helpful. It gave me some clarity. My friend said to me, do you know what triggered this? And at the time I didn't, because I hadn't yet been far enough removed from this, it's the beginning of this, to put two and two together and go, I overwhelmed myself this morning and I triggered this huge bout of anxiety. I was like, no, but you know what? I will learn and I will figure it out. And I did. I spoke to that friend, I spoke to somebody else, and then I spoke to the same friend again. And by the end of the day, I was exhausted. More tired than I am now. Because I'd had all of this excess adrenaline surging through my body for the whole day. By the end of it, I was what we in England called absolutely knackered. And plus, because I'd been able to speak to someone, I was feeling okay. I went to bed that night thinking, well, that was awful, but phew, at least I got through it. Tomorrow will be a better day, right? I woke up the following morning feeling just as bad. But something had shifted for me. Even though I woke up on the Tuesday feeling just as bad as I'd felt all day Monday, I felt more ready to do something about it. Because I hadn't spent Monday frantically trying to numb my anxiety or get rid of it as quickly as possible, because I'd given myself the Monday to relax as much as I possibly could, and I couldn't really relax, but I was able to sit there and just do as little as possible. By the time Tuesday rolled around, I was feeling much more prepared to go, yeah, this sucks, but I'm ready to deal with this now. This has been my recovery from this bout of anxiety, has been at my pace. I'm at the point in this pace where I'm going to do something. And I literally started the day with just a 5-minute meditation. No more, no less, because that's all I could focus on to begin with. And it wasn't about, I'm going to meditate all my anxiety away and I'll have this magic euphoria afterwards. It was literally, if I am going to address this today and if I am going to take action today, I need to be grounded, I need to be ready. And taking 5 minutes. Taking 5 minutes just to ground myself helped. Then I did my hygiene routine. Spoke so many times in the past about when I'm feeling bad, one of the things that really helps me is to just go and get properly clean. That's why if you go into my self-care box, there's shampoo and conditioner and shower gel and toothpaste, no, I didn't put a razor in there, all the things that I need to clean myself. So into the shower, if I feel like I've been carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, really get in there and scrub my shoulders. Wash my hair and get people out of my hair. Wash away the stench of what I've been going through. Give myself a shave, do whatever I need to do to feel clean. And this makes me feel more prepared, and it helps me to say, do you know what, as bad as things are, at least I'm looking after myself. I'm still looking after myself physically, and now that I'm clean, I'm fresh, I'm ready to do something. And I was ready to do something. I was talking to my friend on the Monday. In fact, both of the people I spoke to that day said to me, you need to go for a run. because these people know me very well. They know how much I talk about how good running is for my mental health. But on the Monday, I could not have possibly gone for a run, or at least I didn't feel like I could possibly go for a run, because like I said, I was dizzy and my legs felt like jelly. And I can't, I had to say, yeah, I totally appreciate. Normally a run would be the first thing I do. I was having enough time. But I feel like if I got my running shoes on and tried to go out and log a few miles, I would feel like I would collapse the moment I got out the door. I wasn't in that place on the Monday. On the Tuesday, I still felt a bit jelly-legged and I still felt a bit weird. But I kind of took this, I don't know what the hell I just did then. Sorry, I've just made myself laugh. I took that adrenaline and I was able to just put some music on and dance around. And I promise I didn't dance like that, because I hopefully will never make that movement ever again in my life. But I was able to move around a little bit. I was able to sing some songs. I'm not a good singer, but what I lack in talent, I make up for in enthusiasm. And it makes me feel a little better. It gets something going within me that, like, yeah, do you know what? I may still feel physically like crap, but mentally I'm in a much more positive state of mind. And because I'm in a much more positive state of mind, I can start really exploring what might have brought on this anxiety and what it's now bringing up for me. What are my thoughts and feelings surrounding this thing that's just knocked me flat on my arse over the last 2 days? So I did a little bit more meditating, and then I got my journal out and did some reflections. And it was at that point that I started to put the two and two together, and realizing, holy crap, I overwhelmed myself, right? And I got myself into such a big state. And I recognized that some of this anxiety was linked to the transition. I feel like I've been in a state of transition for a very long time now. And sometimes I'm okay with that. Sometimes I'm able to go, yeah, look, transitions take as long as they take. But then other times I get really impatient and go, I've been doing this for ages now. I just want to have transitioned. I want to get out of my goo phase. If you've read Quit Smoking and Be Happy, you may be familiar with the goo phase. In the book, I was talking about how, caterpillars become these beautiful butterflies, and we see it as this magical, wonderful process. Oh, caterpillar, ooh, butterfly. What happens? The caterpillar goes into the cocoon, gets broken down into goo, or breaks itself down into goo, and then emerges as the butterfly. And I'm thinking, well, is this a magical thing? Or is the caterpillar going, oh my fucking God, what is happening to me? I'm turning into goo. This is awful. This is unpleasant. I think about that and I call it the goo phase when we go through stuff in life, right? Yeah, we know it's going to get better. We know things are going to be beautiful and we're going to be lovely butterflies on the other side. But the goo phase can be awful. And although my goo phase right now is quite mild, I still feel a little gooey, which is a weird thing to say. I appreciate. And and just getting impatient with it and going, oh my God, what, when I was making that list of stuff I've got to do, like, what can I do? What can I do to get out of this? What can I do to have transitioned? What can I do to be a butterfly? And because I was able to go, aha, so that's what's going on, then I could readdress that stupid list that tipped me over the edge on Monday and look through stuff, and I told myself, here is all of the things that I have to do. And then I can look at it again and actually go, no, don't have to do that. Nobody's going to force me to do that. If I don't do that, it's tough, whatever. What's important to me right now? Where am I trying to get to? What does my butterfly look like, right? And what can I do to get myself there? And then and scrapped the old plan, made an entirely new plan. And I've been following that new plan quite diligently, step by step, day by day, always keeping in mind that even though, my transition is hard work, working as hard as I'm capable of without messing this up. It gets to the end of the day and my brain is fried, I stop, I take a break because I'm not going to push myself back into that anxious feeling. Tuesday evening I was still feeling kind of crummy, but by Wednesday I was starting to feel much better and I was able to go into the therapy room and work with my counselling clients, which I wouldn't have done if I'd still felt as bad as I did on Monday or Tuesday morning, because it would not have been fair and it would not have been safe to those clients. But by this point I was feeling like, yeah, do you know what, I'm coming back. And I was able to do this. We had some really good sessions and I came away being reminded of how rewarding that kind of work is. But by that point it had gone away for the most part. I hadn't really felt that dizziness, that jelly-leggedness, that tension. The worst thing that's happened is that because I pushed my body into this state of heightened anxiety, I gave myself a cold, and I've had a cold for like a week and a half now and it's really annoying. But you know what, I can deal with a cold. I can deal with a cold just like I can deal with my anxiety or my to-do list or anything else, as long as I take things slowly and take things one step at a time. The whole thing last week was just unpleasant, but I'm very grateful that it happened because I've learned from it. I've learned, okay, if I'm going to sit there on a Monday morning and tell myself this story about how busy I am, I'm going to get overwhelmed and it ain't going to end well. I've learned that the word that describes the physical feelings, I've learned, okay, this is anxiety. I understand this now. And I can do something about it in my own good time. I've learned that my anxiety is as valid as yours, is as valid as his and hers and that person's, and maybe not that person, but no, yeah, okay, that person as well. It's all valid. Anxiety affects us in different ways, but it's all valid to each of us. Even if we're not going through anxiety, whatever you may be going through in your life is valid. The way it's making you feel is valid, even if somebody else has it a million times worse. One of the main person that I spoke to on the Monday has far more pressing things going on in their life. But I didn't ever feel like, oh, I can't talk to them, because my stuff is still valid. It's what's going on for me. And I've learned, that to just take it at my own pace. Dance, sing, shower, reflect. Approach things again with a different mindset. What is really important? Most importantly than anything else is this. And as part of that reflection, I was able to look at things that really aren't important to me and they're actually causing me quite a lot of discomfort. If you know about Pareto's law, the 80-20 rule, 80% of my discomfort and 80% of my anxiety and stress comes from 20% of the things in my life. So it's looking at, well, what can I do about this? It's been a very valuable learning experience, but I am glad it's over. And I'm kind of glad this video is over because, like I said at the beginning, it's taken me all bloody day to just record 20 minutes or however long this is. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it if you have liked this video, like the video I suppose. Quick shout out for our next live stream is Saturday, September 25th at 6:30 p.m. UK time. The link is card and description as always. Next week I'm not going to do the anxiety and quitting smoking video because I'm away on holiday, and even if I do get a chance to make a video, it's got to be something like this that I can just talk about without planning. Whereas the anxiety and smoking videos, I need to do some research and reading before I really get into this subject on a much deeper level. But we'll talk about that some other time. For now, I've been stood here for hours. I'm going to go and put my feet up. I'll see you later. Goodbye.